There are a few that do love, but it is a few. Those few people that love in this world, God found a way to use those people to reach out and save me, because if it wasn't for their compassion, there's no guarantee that I'd be here. Well, there's no guarantee that I'll be here tomorrow anyway, because tomorrow's not promised, but I knew my mindset at that point, and it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good at all. And I just didn't care anymore. But those people that God put in my life, real shortly after he found the time to save me, I was talking to you. It's like, I used to watch these testimonies, okay? That's what they call them, when a person has a story of where God reveals himself in their life. And being a skeptic, I still find some of them to be a little bit outlandish. No, I won't lie to you. But I have to believe that there is a chance for those possibly to be right, because what happened to me. Now, I suffered from a dramatic depression and life of an indulgence in those substance abuse, because I was trying to fill that void I had been talking about before. But it came to a point where I was so fed up with that life, man. I kept remembering back when I was a little child and how I used to have so much fun and joy in life, and I never needed that stuff. And in fact, I hated seeing those kind of things in life. As a child, you see a cigarette and you're like, oh, I don't like cigarettes, they're nasty, and you end up smoking. Or some of us don't. But I remembered that time where I didn't need all that stuff, and I didn't have it, and I was happy, and I wanted that back in my life. So eventually, one night, through the whole ordeal of being so disgusted with it, I found myself on my knees crying out to God for help. I asked him, to get me out of the situation I was in, because it wasn't good, and the people involved in it, and I was looking at trouble, and I knew that I was going to get in trouble for what I was doing. Well, that was a short prayer, but it was definitely a heartfelt, and he heard it, because I was being honest with it. I was being honest with myself that if God was out there, the only way I could change the situation I was living in was for him to help me. And he did. He helped me alright. The very next morning, there was a situation where certain people were involved and things weren't going right, but the police pulled up in my lawn and arrested me for my involvement in what I was doing. I won't get into details, but it wasn't my idea of being saved or helped. But in all reality, if I'm being honest with myself and how deceptive I could have been, I do believe that was the only way for me to be changed or helped. Because I would have just been fooling somebody else or myself, and I would have been right back in the same situation and risking my life and the lives of those around me. So I went to jail for a 28-day period. And when I was arrested, it was December 6th, 2012. Somewhere like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Somewhere around that time. Don't quote me too much on it, but it was that day. And I spent Christmas and Christmas Eve in jail. Christmas Eve, note this, that I had the phones turned on so I could call people, and my family's right, they all live around here, so the visits should be fine. But I didn't get one Christmas Eve, and I accepted that as people were busy with the family and they just couldn't get there, but they would be there the next day. But I tried calling all night and nobody answered the phone. I didn't understand that, and it kind of hurt me a little bit. But and I just blew it off as, you know, they were busy, and that's the same reason that they didn't come and visit, was the reason why they couldn't answer the phone. Or maybe they just didn't hear it, or they left it somewhere. But when it happened, the same thing again the next day, and I didn't get a visit, and I was very upset. No phone call throughout the whole night. And I didn't cry over it, but I was angry about it. I'm like, why would they abandon me like that? But that's not the miracle that didn't speak by itself. It was a very odd, twisted thing, especially with a family that loves me as much as they do. You know, because that's what I can't understand. There are families out there that love you and will be there unconditionally, and that's the kind of family I have. But they didn't show up, so that's what confused me, and I was upset. And, you know, I'm still having a chemically altered emotional breakdown because I'm still coming down of all the abuse that I was torturing my mind and body and everybody around me with. But some reason there was an officer that found a pile of mail in the back, and on a holiday, I'm going to explain it like this. I couldn't understand why an officer would do that, but he handed out the mail at 4 o'clock, where they usually hand out the mail at that time. And when I asked him why he was handing out mail, it's a holiday, he said just there was some in the box in the back and he felt like doing it. And at the time I wasn't looking at it as God putting the spirit in somebody's heart to do good, you know. But that's in reality what it was. But I got a card. The only piece of mail I got in jail. I believe it's the only piece of mail. I'm pretty sure it's the only piece of mail that I got in jail. And it was a Christmas card that actually came on time, you know, due to the act of God. But it was from a family member that I thought would be most likely to disown me out of my actions. And because he was former law enforcement, and you know, he's retired. It was a long time ago, whatever. But I thought they wouldn't want to be in association with me because of that. But lo and behold, I was quite wrong about that, because in that card that they sent, they gave an expression of their forgiveness, their support, and their compassion to me. They told me they loved me and they just wanted me to get better, and that they would be there for me. So within that message, I had hope. But that wasn't the only thing. There was a lot more coming. Within the envelope, or the card, the Christmas card, they had stuck a tract that the pastor from their church hands out to all people. It's a story about his life, which he entitles Beauty and the Beast. And the first line goes, "It didn't work out, so we stayed married." Which obviously tantalized my curiosity of what they were talking about, but obviously it was a divorce that they were trying to go through, and they decided by some means that they could stay together, and they worked it out, which is very rare, because usually people, in this world, it's all about divorce now. Believe me, I went through one. I know what it's like. But back to the story, he's telling about how he went through a problem with his very similar lifestyle, not to the extent that I went through, and I wouldn't put it on him. I don't really know the details because that's between him and God. But I will say that he pointed me in a direction to read the rest of his story. But at the rest of his story, it ends up with a little tract about Jesus and how all his friends betrayed him and they turned his back on him, and he took the blame for everything that everybody's ever done. And I couldn't help but feeling like I was very related to that at that moment. You know, that situation. I won't quote exactly what it was. You'll have to read it for yourself, you know, if you ever end up going to IBC of Keysville, which is the Independent Baptist Church of Keysville. His name is Russell O'Neill, and he's the pastor. He's a great guy. He's got an awesome personality. But God uses him in a way that touched me and a lot of people around. But you'd have to read the rest of that tract to find out how that relates to you. And I took that into consideration, and as I'm reading the card and I'm thinking, this is late at night at like 8 o'clock, because I didn't open it right away and see what it was because I was just too busy trying to get a hold of my family on the phone until 8 o'clock when nobody's allowed to use the phone anymore. Oh well. Anyhow, I don't blame anybody. It's the way God did it, so he could talk to me. It was the only way. And then I realized that I had been on my knees the night before asking God for help. From there on, I decided that was the way for me to get out of all my problems. And it literally was. I mean, we still have difficulties and trials in life, but it'll never be as easy as it is when you have God on your side. You know, and to help you carry you through it. So, now you know why I started following God instead of running away from Him. But it's not enough for me or for anybody to just say that they believe in God, because you should really get to know Him. And that's what I did with my next 4 years of my life. I devoted myself to learning what I had missed out on. And God put me in a place where I had no choice. Well, I had a choice, but I had ample opportunity as well. In a place where it's a lot of temptation, and you know, prison is where I went to do that. And most people don't apply themselves in prison. They do what they want to do as far as being with the rest of the people there. They do really dumb things to fit in. And that's how they say that's how they do their day. That's how they pass their time. Well, I mean, I can't really be too much of a critical person on it, because I mean, I've been that idiot before. But I took advantage of the time that I was there, and I did a lot of productive things. But mostly it was correspondence courses for Bible studies in the mail. That was the main thing that occupied my time there. I went to church all the time. It looks like this thing's going to cut off on me. But you know, that's what it is. And now I went to the church the day that I got out of jail, the 28-day period, and I found the compassion of God in those people. And I pray that you too someday will find those people in your life. Don't get me wrong, there's wolves in sheep's clothing, and there are people that are going to try to take advantage of you. and your good-natured heart and the way you're seeking out God. But just bear with me, or bear with God rather, that He will lead you through it. Well, I gotta let you go. This thing is gonna cut off on me. Alright, see how far this went.